You ready? Awesome. You can hear me good. Hello, Mr. Eve in the next room. Thank you for letting me go live tonight. We have been battling um, the cold and flu season, and whenever it was just me, Mr. Eve, and little Eve, we could get over it pretty quickly. But now that little Eve is in school, and we have another little Eve, the sickness just keeps circulating, which I've heard of before, but no, it really does, back to back. It's if two are sick, two are not. And we just keep, you know, sharing the love there. So that is why I've been away. The little baby Eve is teething on top of everything else. So I look like that meme of the monster with the hair up, you know, eyes crossed. Yeah, that's me. So good to see everybody. Jelly baby, this is your first live. Woohoo! Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Chris, good to see you. Whistle while you lurk, good to see you as well. Shani, good to see you. And anyone else that's coming in or watching the replay, please go ahead and hit that like button while you're here. Might as well. It's free and didn't cost you a thing. All right, so what are we talking about today? Well, a lot of people have been covering Audrey Cunningham's case uh, extensively, and that's great. And if, again, I have been sick, so if I sniffle or cough, I'm really sorry. But I haven't been able to keep up with the Joneses, if you will, on the YouTube streets. So I apologize again for that. But there was something that I saw today, and I'm going to have to give Nancy Grace some credit here because Nancy Grace has been doing a lot better, in my opinion, with her coverage. Of course, she's always controversial and she doesn't mind asking tough questions that seem way abrasive, all that good stuff. But I appreciate her getting to the nitty gritty of it and sometimes asking those really tough questions. Not everybody has the kahunas to do it, and I do appreciate that. She also, in my opinion, gets to better and more open ideas sometimes when reviewing cases. But sometimes she pisses me straight off. And I think that if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your job properly. Excuse me. But yes, welcome in, Jelly Baby. Good to see you. Glad this is your first live. I hope you are not disappointed. So, with Audrey Cunningham, I heard the interview with Nancy and Cassie, who is Audrey Cunningham's mother. And I want us to review that. It gets a little hairy at times, and there's, you know, Cassie kind of calls Nancy out for a few things. However, I think that there was some information that came out that is very eye-opening, And I also want to talk about grandma on the father's side and their recent um, statement that they made, basically saying it didn't show up on the background check that we did that he was a RSO because he wasn't, but he had other charges. And I'm going to put my yellow flag up, okay, because there's something wrong. But something specific that she said in this interview um, versus the 911 dispatch that I put out there, there's something there as well that I think that you would like to hear. And maybe there's something more to the relationship between McDougal, the person who was arrested for murdering poor Audrey, and maybe we could just kind of brainstorm on that. So I'm going to pull up the interview first with Nancy and Cassie, Nancy Grace. One moment. Oh, by the way, before we get started on that, there
An
is
11-year-old
oh,
girl.
Nancy, now hold on, ma'am. This is my show, not yours, even though I'm using your content. Thank you, ma'am. One moment, Nancy. So there is a remembrance for Audrey. It's a public visitation on March 1st from 5 to 8 p.m. at the First Baptist Church, 106 Colt Road in Livingston. I know a lot of my folks aren't from Texas, there are a few, but I would like to, Mr. Eve, I would like to definitely at least send flowers there or something. Maybe we could talk about that. But I think that if you could attend, if you live, down that way, maybe just send some good vibes or something. I know that that's going to be very difficult for the family um, and friends that loved and love Audrey. The funeral and burial are private, however. So I'm not sure when that is. I don't know if it's right after or right before. I'm not really sure. Probably before, because that's pretty late. Um, but just letting you know that. That's why I have this on my thumbnail and my background. All right, Nancy, you're up. Lovely picture, huh? Sorry, Nancy. I didn't choose where to pause. Okay. So she goes in and talks about, his extensive background, which is disgusting. We all know that he is a predator and he is charged with her murder. So we're going to skip all that and just go straight to the interview. Let's start.
Me right now is Audrey's mother. There's been a lot of speculation about her. A lot of mean things have been said about her online. I want you to meet Cassie Matthews. Miss Matthews, thank you for being with us. We've heard a lot from Audrey's grandparents, with whom this sweet little girl was living with a child sex offender in the backyard. We've heard a lot from them. But, I knew it all about suffering, about grieving, about mourning. After my fiance was murdered, when I gave birth to the twins, I found out I don't know anything.
I think that she is showing her actual, wow, that looks really demonic. Sorry. Uh, but I think Nancy is actually in her later years is actually showing empathy, which she was a prosecutor for a very long time. So I know that from my understanding that prosecutors can get a little cold and callous, which Nancy had been for a very long time, but she also, I know that she has feelings. It's very obvious. And she has a show to run, so she can't always run on those. But this interview, it gets her. And it gets to me too. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Sarah says, I've contacted every state representative in Texas. The least to do the same if you live here. Absolutely. I do all of those things too. Absolutely will. Depending on what exactly you're referring to, probably the registration laws for RSOs that get plea deals. Definitely have already done that, but let me know if there's anything else specific you would like for me to look at. We can put it in the chat there. But she does get a little emotional here, Miss Nancy Grace. So everybody get your tissues if you're sensitive to um, things like this.
And Miss Matthews, I can't tell you how much we've been praying for you and how sorry we are. And I know that means nothing. I almost hate to even say it, but I want you to know our whole staff has been thinking about you and praying. And I want to thank you for being with us right now.
Yes, ma'am. I just I want to do everything that I can for my baby.
Everyone joining me is Cassie Matthews. This is little Audrii Cunningham's mother, Audrey, 11 years old when she was killed. Audrey, when I look at her, Miss Cassie, is just so full of joy and life. I'm looking at a
Beautiful.
picture of her now with a little white t-shirt on with the blue sundress over it, and now she's got on a little black t-shirt and looks like a little pocketbook strapped shoulder over her shoulder. She's just so precious and looks so well taken care of. How in the hay do you believe this happened, Miss Matthews?
I don't understand how it happened at all. I don't understand how they put so much effort into keeping her from me, but they couldn't put the same effort into knowing the people that they had around her.
Now, let me tell you, I felt that in my bones. I felt that in my soul. She has a great point there. If anybody didn't know, um, they had barred her from having contact with her daughter. I don't know the ins and outs. From my understanding, that was the deal at that point in time, earlier in her life. I know that she said she was a recovering addict um, from way before. So she had been, I think, sober for 10 plus years. And she has a great point. She just said they put so much effort into keeping me from her and speaking to her and having anything to do with her, but they didn't check this dude out hard enough. From my understanding, they had pictures. The dad had, there's pictures on his Facebook before he privated it. Him and McDougal were out at a concert years ago, I think 2017. So at least 7 years, right? Or 6 or 7 years minimum. I don't understand that. So they knew each other at least for that long. And I would assume that you would know or hear in a small town like that all of his business and his dirty laundry. I don't buy it.
Miss Matthews, what happened when you discovered that Audrey was missing? How did you find that out? Or did you know that before you found out that she had been killed?
So it was Thursday evening. I'm gonna say it was like 7 o'clock. Uh, Tabitha herself had gone and contacted or went to the home of my fiance's mother and was asking her if she knew where we were, if we were there, and had said Audrey was missing.
Now, if you don't know who Tabitha is the grandmother on the dad's mom. So, Audrey's father's mother is Tabitha. Okay, keep her in mind. So, grandma is going to come back up here in a minute when I play that 911 dispatch. Okay, she's going to come back up. Now, she went, let's replay that to make sure we get all the details right, because this is what triggered my mind into something's wrong here. She went to her mother-in-law's house, Cassie's mother-in-law. Tabitha went to her mother-in-law's house, Cassie's. What? Why? Why there to go look for Cassie? I don't get it.
Now his mother instantly calls him, of course, and she makes her get on the phone with me, and she's
Killed.
so it was Thursday evening. I'm gonna say it was like 7 o'clock. Um, Tabitha herself had gone and contacted or went to the home of my fiance's mother and was asking her if she knew where we were, if we were there, and had said Audrey was missing. Now his mother instantly calls him, of course, and she makes her get on the phone with me, and she's telling me that she's missing and asking me if I had seen her. And of course, no, I haven't seen her. I honestly wanted to ask her if it was a sick joke, but I didn't. And I'm used to a lot of crazy things from that family. So
So there has obviously been a lot of contention between these two. I don't, for the life of me, understand why she would go to her boyfriend's mother. So I'm just going to call her mother-in-law. Okay. I thought they were married. Maybe they are. I'm not sure 100%. But what? You don't call her? You don't have the balls to call bio mom, no matter what, to look for Audrii. No matter what you feel about mom, why is grandma going and skirting around that? No, just hang tight.
when she said no, she's missing.
So, Cassie, you said that the paternal grandmother, Tabitha, went knocking at your fiance's mom's door looking for Audrey. Did they call you immediately?
Of course, my fiance's mom
Fiance,
called
okay.
him instantly, and she told him that I needed to be on the phone ASAP, and then she put Tabitha on the phone and made her talk to me.
This, I don't like that. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm sure that the fiance's mom was like, "What? No, you need to talk to mom directly. We're not doing this middleman shit. Get on the phone, ma'am." And I agree. This is ridiculous. I don't understand why this happened the way it did. Isn't it suspicious? Like, if you think it's suspicious, put a one in the chat. I do.
Why didn't she want? I mean, I would think she would have called you first. Had they been blocking you seeing Audrey?
I haven't had any type of contact. I had the last bit of contact that I had with Josh, where I was once again begging to see my daughter in any way that made him or her comfortable. Whatever I needed to do, I had to do that through my fiance's messenger.
So the grandma shows up at your fiance's mom's place looking for Audrey. Then your fiance's mom has her call you. And what did she say?
She tells me that she's missing. She didn't make it home off the bus. Asked me if I had seen her, which that's a crazy question because you haven't allowed me to see her in so long. Um,
I don't know why. Maybe I'm behind here, but I don't know why she didn't or wasn't able to see her daughter. I assume that the courts always had custody, like gave dad and grandma, I guess, custody, and she never did. And they had the rights to say when or whatever. And I know it's expensive to go back to court and fight for that. So that could have been it as well. I'm just confused on that one. Maybe there's something else that happened or something going on that wasn't mentioned. Is kind of what I'm getting at. Maybe.
and after that, I had told her about how Stephen had messaged me strangely out of the blue the night before, and that I would share the messages with her. And then I asked her where Stephen was, and she went from
Are
a
you
hysterical
referring to
state.
the defendant, the murder defendant, Don Stephen McDougal, age 42? Is that who you're referring to?
Yes, that's who I'm referring to.
When they asked where's Audrey, what did you say?
I, of course, told them I haven't seen her, and in my mind, I wanted to snap and tell her, "Of course, I haven't seen her. You and your son haven't let me see my daughter in how long now?" But I didn't because I instantly wanted to know where my daughter was. That was the thing that took over. Um,
Now
I waited on officers.
you also asked the grandma where is Stephen, and we know
Yes,
that to
I
be
did.
Stephen
I had
McDougal.
told her about the
Why?
him messaging.
Okay. So obviously, Cass had messaged McDougal, the night before. We all know about those messages that were kind of odd and weird, where, she was going to meet up with her daughter through Stephen. but it kind of seemed like Stephen was trying to set mom up to look like she was the one that maybe, uh, in my opinion, harmed Audrii, or if they found her, murdered her. I think Stephen was trying to set her up, in my opinion. Now listen to this.
Me. I had told her about him messaging me out of the blue the night before, and told her that he had said to me that he was going to take her to school that morning. And I asked her where he was and had she seen him. And she went from hysterical to stuttering, I gotta go.
You told me earlier she went from calm to hysterical.
No, 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 no. She went from hysterical to stuttering, and she had to go.
Oh, as soon as she realized.
Why is, hey, Cracking it's good to see you. I put it on live chat. Thank goodness, because I can see you now. Thank you for being here, hon. Oh, God, his face, I just want to rip it off. Why is she stuttering, going, what happened there? What's going on? I don't get that. And then she had to go. I wish I would have known what time she was, um, she went over to the house, meaning the grandmother. I want to know that because it's about 5:15ish that grandma calls into 911. Let's listen to that real quick. So it's very odd that she's saying, uh, stumbling over her words when Stephen is brought up, because listen to what grandma says. One moment.
True crime with E.
Can I get around to One Lakeside Drive? One Lakeside Drive. It's going to be for a missing person. Caller states her 11-year-old granddaughter was dropped off at the bus at about 7 a.m. this morning and never made it on the bus and has not been seen since. 826. Female is about approximately 4'11", 86 pounds, blonde long hair, blue eyes, last seen wearing a dark colored jacket.
33710.
Good. Public service you, her address and his phone number.
What time does this call?
1700.
Missing juvenile called in.
So 1700, which is 5 p.m., is when the call came in. So it had to have been before 5 p.m. that, Tabitha, the grandmother, goes over to Audrey's mother's fiance's mother's house, where they talk. So I would say maybe 4:45 onward that happens, or maybe 4:30 onward. I don't know. I don't know how long grandma was looking and who else she was looking, you know, uh, other houses. I don't know. So let's just say 4:30 on. Let's just say that. What? Let's listen.
From the county, they want us to check that address and see if she's there. It's supposed to be the mom's address. Mom does not have custody of her, has never had custody of her, and has made threats recently to kidnap her.
Hey, you text me if you.
Threats recently to kidnap her.
Hey.
Of her, has never had custody of her, and has made threats recently to kidnap her.
Okay, so she's on the phone before this 911 dispatch. Okay, she's on the phone with mother, Audrey's mother, through a third party, and gets all tangled up when Stephen McDougal is talked about. She starts stuttering and says, I have to go. Then says this to dispatch. So what was the conversation between McDougal and Tabitha, the grandmother? What happened there? Did she call? Right? You get what I'm saying? Like, did she call Stephen, and did Stephen rattle off some shit like the setup that was supposed to, in my opinion, was supposed to implicate Cass? And it almost, in theory, it was working, because you'll hear Cass in a minute say, They interrogated me. I was there at the police station for 16 hours, and those messages hung up mom at the police station. They didn't think she was being completely honest. Remember, for 2 years, 2 years. No, you have put up with me, OG Mod. Thank you for being my friend, my sister, my soul sister. Thank you, thank you. We'll have to do a celebration on this one. Members only, girl. What you want? You name it, I got you. Yay, red flower. Much love to you, honey. Thank you. So, what's going on here? What was the conversation with Tabitha and McDougal? I bet you they asked her. Or maybe there was a text exchange, who knows? Or maybe they knew already. I don't know. It would be after the time the school bus would have normally arrived, as they say Audrey didn't arrive back on bus, and before that 911 call. So right, like yeah, like maybe 4 to 5 is, but I don't know when they didn't realize wasn't home yet, or maybe they thought she was. I don't know. That's where I'm kind of lost at because they're not talking right now. So those little nitty gritty details. I mean, I'm sure we could find it somewhere, but it would have to be dug out of the Facebook groups, right? So, good point. I wonder if the bus drop off time had been posted out anywhere. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I want to know. Maybe I could ask someone who had a contact with one of the family members. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Colin does male dancers, says cracking asses. Brooke, if that's what you want, baby. I have had Eve for 8 years. Oh, Mr. Eve, goodness, 8 years. That's true. As of what, January 20th? How do you continue to put up with me? Hey, twin thing, good to see you. You are the real OG, but no, you're not. Not on my channel. You're the OG, like, yeah, I guess you would say real life. So you're right. Whatever, Mr. Eve. Okay. Excuse me, getting back on track. I'm a little loopy on VIX 44. If you've ever had VIX 44, you would know what I mean. If you haven't, woo doggy. It'll put some chest hair on you real fast and get you off of your, out of bed basically and onto the next chapter of your life. That VIX 44 ain't no joke. Better than Theraflu. All right, let's continue.
Hey, can you text me if you have the mom's information so I can just so I can have.
That's clear, sir. I'll send you both of their.
So now we're going to hop back over to Nancy Grace interview, again with the mom, Cass. What happened and why did Tabitha get all hung up and then call 911 and say and mention she had threatened to, the mom had threatened to kidnap her recently? Okay.
Is that Stephen McDougal had been with
Yes,
Audrey. She had to go and hung up the phone.
it was her stuttering the word. She didn't have anything else to say other than "I gotta go." Now in the 911 call, you can clearly hear him in the background.
Guys, we are.
Oh, snap. In the 911 call, you can clearly hear Stephen in the background, meaning either he was already there with grandma or he was sequestered to the home quick and he came to the house. I wonder how that went down and why. Maybe Stephen was trying to convince Tabitha that that's what was going on, that mom was someone that talked to me about this. Here's the messages. Again, this is why I think Stephen set up or tried to set up mom. I really do. I think this was planned. But I want to know and I hope that this is not the case, but I want to know if maybe he had somebody in his ear, you know?
Speaking with Cassie Matthews. This is Audrii Cunningham's mother. What happened after that? After she hangs up, what do you do?
I I'm about to melt down. I hit my knees. I prayed. My fiance is
Agreed.
sitting there trying to comfort me, but I didn't even want him to touch me. I didn't understand what was going on. I'm pacing a rut in my house, just wondering where she could be, where I could look, what I could do. I'm waiting for the officers. When officers finally showed up, they asked if they could search my home, and of course, I asked them if I needed to step outside, whatever made them more comfortable. But I wanted them to go ahead and get that done and start looking for my baby. Now, I tried to ask a couple questions, and they just kind of looked at each other after they searched and were like, "Okay, it's all clear. Let's move on," and then left. Nobody really answered any questions for me for a long time.
What was the next thing that happened in your world?
Well, the next thing that happened was I am being advised that it would probably be best, well, advised, but not advised, which makes no sense to me, but that is what has been said. Um, that I should stay put in my own home. And then shortly after that, my fiance, and the roommate that we have at the time, uh, we're getting picked up by the sheriff's office and investigators. We go and we spend, I think it was almost 16 hours up there.
Okay, so definitely, in my opinion, there was some, you need to go look at mom, like we just established. Again, I think that they were, at least McDougal was trying to set up mom, but I don't know about grandma yet. Maybe grandma was just taking McDougal's word for, those messages, because the messages were odd. But I think that that was a desperate mom trying to do what she could to see her daughter, to get that edge in to talk to her, because they were keeping her from talking to mom, obviously. I want to know, why is that though? Is there something deeper? Is there something deeper there? Maybe there was something going on in the family dynamic over there that they didn't want mom knowing about. Was it Stephen? Was it something else?
Now, the entire time, I'm being asked 20 million questions that I'm able to answer with no problem. They keep trying to say to me, "I feel like there's something you're not telling
Agreed.
us. I feel like there's something you're not telling us." Well, finally, I
Okay, hold
snapped
on.
for a second.
Who took you where?
The sheriff's department, and they had a few of the investigators with them. They took us up to
Took you
the Polk
where?
County Sheriff's Department.
So you were there, your fiance was there, and your roommate was there, and they were peppering you with questions really about where's Audrey? When have you last seen her? Did you take her? Did you hide her?
Hey, Lenny girl.
Questions of that
And
nature,
about the
correct?
messages between Stephen and I from the night before. And they were asking me if
Yes. Now, that's very curious, Cass.
Right. They're going to hone in on this because she's like, yeah, the messages. And she even said, which was very eerie, she even said, I don't know, I just don't want to be set up. It feels like a setup, or something along those lines in those messages to McDougal the night before. She had that inkling. Trust your mama gut, I'm telling you. Trust that gut every time.
See, because I find those text messages that McDougal sent you very, very incriminating for him because he is playing on your emotions. He knows how much you want to see Audrey. So basically, Cassie, McDougal is using your daughter as bait to lure you down to the river where her body was later found. Why was
um,
he doing that? And claiming he was going to keep it secret from her dad. What was his game?
well, when he first approached me, and see, when I say approached me, it was all through Facebook Messenger. I've never had his number.
Lord, the red truck. It makes me think of Summer Wells. Boy, you better not be in Tennessee on June 15th or 14th, 2021. JSB, is this the man that you saw in the truck? Oh, we don't have no ladder rack. Just kidding. She's on my shit list right now. If you want to know, I can't. I can't with her anymore. I haven't said nothing about her, but we'll get into that another day. I promise.
Or anything like that. But he had said that he was Audrey's babysitter, which was instant red flag. I didn't understand. But he had said that he wasn't going to pick parents' sides, that he was concerned about what Audrii wanted and how she felt, and that he thought it was wrong for her to be kept from me if she wanted to know me. So he played on the fact that I was desperate for anything. I wanted pictures. I just anything that had to do with my daughter. And for a minute, I could have believed that, but then I thought more into it, and I just knew something was wrong. And I had been speaking to my family about it. I'd been telling my fiance told me from the jump not to associate with him in any way. Do not. But he doesn't understand how I was feeling when I was craving something of my daughter.
Did you have any idea this freak was your daughter's babysitter?
Not until he had messaged me, and I had tried to contact Josh, wondering what the is going.
Yes, what the fuck is going on? Um, I don't know if I 100% believe that. Not the babysitting part, but that he was around. I don't know if she knew um, dad or whatever he was doing, in 2017 when McDougal was around. I don't know all that. But there's something still off here. There's something missing.
On, and I asked my family over and over again if they could try to contact, and they tried to get no answer. I wanted to know why a man that nobody knows is being left with my 11-year-old daughter. I mean, he could have chose anyone else under the sun, and it would have been okay. Uh, but when he invited me down to go fishing to see my daughter, well, for one, I knew better. Uh, but at this point, knowing what I know now, I feel like he did something to Audrii Wednesday before he even messaged me, and that
Hmm.
if I would have went, he would have gotten rid of me as well, and then it would have been chalked up to I kidnapped my daughter and I ran with her, and people would have forever been
Right.
looking for two people that don't exist, not
Right. Right. Like
looking in a.
I see that. I definitely get what she's putting down here. Sarah says, "You think the mother knew him before or just dad and grandma?" I don't know if she knew him. No, I don't think she knew him. Maybe she knew of him. Um, but maybe not the details, but I know damn well, dad and grandma did. Went and took trips with him, right? I mean, they knew him. I don't know how far back, but at least 7 years.
River.
Question. So you believe this was part of a bigger plan? Why do you believe, Cassie, he needed, in his mind, to kill Audrii?
I don't. I don't understand that at all. Actually, I can understand the little bit of hatred that he would have for me, because I would be the only person that could remove her from the home. You know,
Twin Thing says, "I never had drug issues, but money issue and as an alienated parent." I hate that. I believe everything Cassie is saying. I was able to establish custody of my child when I could afford an attorney. Yes, it is expensive, and I get that. That's why I'm not I'm not terribly hard on parents who can't literally afford it. It takes time, and sometimes when you do get an attorney that will agree, once you get the money, they're gone or on vacation for whole months. You never know. You are dealt with what you are dealt with at the time with the money that you have, and it's not always easy. I understand. I do. And like you said, twin, you were able to establish that the custody when you could afford it, and it makes you understand her. But not everybody gets that. Not everybody understands that people are not privileged. Not everyone can afford it. Even people who are in middle class or upper middle class cannot afford 5 grand, or a retainer of any kind for a lawyer. They're expensive, and it gets kind of muddled. And depending on who you're dealing with on the other side, who could string you along, and their attorneys. So it sucks. It's terrible. Hi, Justice Jane. Or you may have a crappy judge. That is, in my opinion, it happens way too often for a judge to just look at the um, textbook and not their intuition. because you have to be fair and impartial, right? But at the end of the day, what's fair and impartial is your judgment and your intuition and your ability to, read the room. And judges sometimes miss that completely. They sure do. Even when the child is put aside, what do you really want? And they could tell the judge, this, I want this. And they'll still just, oh, well. Hey, Tits McGee, good to see you, love. New woman walked in and took over my life. Oof. Wow. It's just, so yeah, I understand, Mom. I do.
Where he was already residing. I have no idea why he felt the need to. I actually, you know what? And this is, oh my God, it makes me sick to my stomach to say, but I think that in a pedophile's mind, they see a child and they see their actions as an adult would see another adult. Okay. I feel like maybe he was in love with my daughter and he thought that maybe at one point she did say that he was her favorite person or something like that. Maybe he was good to her, but she was looking at him as nothing other than an uncle, the way a child should, If
I think a lot of people were hard on her. I already saw so many comments under this, and even Nancy's like, no, this is getting messy. Um, and I get that, but I'm not going to be too hard on her. She doesn't know everything. She's only, in my opinion, basing her opinion on the messages that Stephen sent her. I bet she is just rereading those. I know it. I bet you $1,000,000. She was rereading and rereading and rereading them because she was trying to figure out what happened. And I bet she still looks at him, or at least did, up until they found her. I think she was just basing her own opinion on what she barely knew about him at the time. I don't think we should be too hard on her about her being a sympathizer or anything like that. She's just trying to make sense of it. A lot of people went after her hardcore in those comments, and I don't think it's fair. That's just me. Steven's daughter looked eerily like Audrey in his first. Oh no, I didn't know that. I didn't know he even had a daughter. Good Lord. How can not every scenario go through her mind? Right, right. I mean, you know, I didn't know he had children. I didn't either. Holy moly. Well, thank you for letting me know because I didn't know that at all. It really is. All right.
if at most.
Cassie,
But what if
do
he was
you
but
believe
what if
he
he was in
had
love with my daughter?
already?
What if he tried to make an advance on my daughter and he didn't get the reaction that he wanted? He either snapped or he knew that she would tell. That is what I think.
Do you believe he had already molested her?
It's a question that we all know she thought about, and this is very tough because you never want your child to experience any kind of grief in their life that's unwarranted, but especially that. Like that is, you just don't. Your brain just don't. It doesn't go there. As a mother, I get it. Ooh, thank you, Nico Jack Cat, for gifting 5 True Crime with E memberships. Lenny was gifted. Justice Jane, Sarah, Granny H, Matthew, looking at y'all lurkers in the back not saying hi. Good to see you. Hey, Julia. Nico, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Y'all hit up my members only. There's not much there, but I'm working on it. um, again, Nico, thank you. Her time with her daughter was taken by Dad's first, then Stephen. She will never get to know her daughter. Yeah. Yep. It's atrocious. Nancy scares me. Well, I think that's a good thing sometimes. We all need a little jarring, I guess. All right. But she's got a we know that she has thought about this. We have all wondered if McDougal, um, did that, and probably so. And maybe that's why the blame was being shifted on mom, not just from obviously McDougal, but family.
I don't I don't know. Do you know that I didn't find out that her pants were on the debate until I watched your interview with
Tim Miller.
yeah.
And you know what, Cassie? I didn't know either until I was talking to Tim Miller and he told me live at that moment. I didn't know that either. And it felt like a knife in my heart. How
I'm
did
really trying to
you?
hold it together.
So I think this was a point of, this is obviously regret. This is contentment. She was like, how could you ask me that? But I have to side with Meanie Nancy, Mean Mug Nancy. She has to ask that because people were asking. We're all asking. Sorry. Um, Now, would I have personally? No, hell no. I think that we could all deduce that she already thought about that. But maybe Nancy was fishing to see if that was something that was information from maybe law enforcement or something, or the family that found that. And maybe she was going to talk about that. But I don't think she knows. I don't. So they're going to tit for tat for just a second, but they'll get back on track here.
I'm
I'm
sick.
sorry,
I'm
Cassie. I am
sick to
so
my stomach.
sorry.
I don't understand.
Cassie, how did you learn that they had found Audrey?
Uh, a lady from the sheriff's department, and one of the jailers, I believe, was sent to my home to tell me and to sit with me until a family member, some type of support. They weren't supposed to leave me alone, and they didn't. She was really good to me, but I just knew in my stomach when my fiance come to the room because I hadn't gotten out of bed. I was just stuck in my bed when he had come to me and said that there was a lady from the sheriff's department at the door and that they needed to speak with me. I knew in my and
You know what,
honestly, I
Cassie? I don't know how people know that, but when I found out that I was supposed to call my fiance's sister, I knew. I knew he was dead. I knew right then. So when you hear there's a sheriff lady at the door, you knew that Audrey
I
was
knew
gone.
my stomach dropped. My heart just
Oh, it's every parent's worst fear. It's every parent's worst fear. I don't care who you are. And it makes my heart skip a beat every time something like this is broadcasted. Um, it really does. Because you feel the pain with them. Maybe not on the same level, but we could at least empathize and sympathize. And so Cass knew from the moment that, Sheriff came up that Audrey was gone. It's very, very, very excruciating for me personally.
everything just stopped for a minute, honestly. And I felt like I couldn't breathe when she told me. I
What
didn't
did she say? Did she reveal anything?
know. She looked me in my face, asked me to sit down, and then she said, "This is not news that I want to be giving you right now." And I started bawling, and she was like, "Yeah, you know, baby, you know," and she was right. And honestly, I still don't know how to process any of this, to
Good
be honest with
question.
you. Nothing.
Good question, or good statement, Justice Jane. I wonder if any of his other victims tattooed on his body. Right. Sometimes these perverts um, memorialize their victims. It could be if he's, you know, maybe a serial offender and has done this before. That's a great question. I do remember in the press conference that um, the sheriff explained, or was it the chief of police? One of those said that the tattoos, are being kind of looked at more in a sense of the hate crimes and stuff like that because he has swastikas on him. That's great, right? That's not a red flag to anybody. Uh, wow. I would personally never let someone like that in my child's life. Correct, same. My children are amazing. If I allow you in, feel special because not everyone gets to meet them. Right. I I have a hard time with damn family members watching my kids by themselves, or not that I don't trust them, but just leaving my kids. Just leaving my kids. Like it's scary. It terrifies me. Let alone a stranger or someone that's not blood or very, very, very close.
Nothing but truthful. I am in search for a therapist at the moment because I have been a manic depressant with extreme anxiety since I was 15 years old. I am so scared that this is going to be a depression that I can't get myself out of. I I feel numb. I don't feel much of anything else at all. I feel numb. I don't sleep. I don't I just sit there and I watch videos and look at pictures and I read all of these comments on the internet and that's all I could do. All I could do is just put all of my thought into this in general. I can have someone sitting right next to me and they're talking to me and I don't hear a word that they say because I'm just
Oh man, it's getting very difficult um to watch that because I get that whenever I'm in a uh, deep sadness in my life, I get that. I do the same thing. I can hear you and not listen, but I couldn't imagine being in that position. My heart would probably stop.
Cassie, I'm going to hook you up with a therapist. I've got somebody for you, a lady for you to talk
I'm
to,
so glad.
and I'll
Oh
hook
man.
you up with her in just a few moments.
Oh my God. I'm
Cassie, did
glad.
you have any idea about McDougal's record? Why was he living in the backyard? Why did he have access to the home?
so I had no idea until I made the Facebook post and people started commenting because as much effort as they put into keeping me away, I figured they would put the same type of effort into knowing the people that were around. If I would have known that I needed to do her father's job because he didn't give a to do it, I would have known. But I
Preach, girl. Let it out because, right. I think that she would have. She obviously has no problem saying how she feels. She just didn't know. And it was just too late. I think this, where's my beep beep? Lord have mercy. I'm going to need it. Should I just go ahead and cuss or wait for the beep beep? This motherfucker, piece of shit lowlife right here, I think knew that his chances were running out to harm that girl. I think that his control was ending. That's what I think. And he took her from everyone as his little control. His last hoorah, I do. Or he had already done it. Sick motherfucker.
I
I've
knew
got a
from the
question
jump
for you,
something was not
Cassie.
right.
You said that as soon as you told your fiance he wants to meet me down by the river and he's going to bring Audrii, your fiance immediately said, "Do not talk to this guy. Stay away from him." Did everybody know this guy was bad news? Why would he say that?
He did not like the fact that he was like persistent on trying to get me alone. He said that he had a bad feeling about him and that there just something wasn't right. And my fiance is an excellent judge of character. He really is.
He was right. Question to you. Did you discover that McDougal was actually going door to door like he was looking for Audrii?
That's the part right there that just infuriates me to the point where I could put my hands around his throat and squeeze and not stop. How do you know damn good and well what you did to my daughter and then you search for her like you care? You don't care. You killed my daughter, and then you want to search for.
Yep.
When you
It's
found
sick.
out that
People don't realize that when you aren't aware of what's going on in your children's lives, that this, maybe not to this extent, but things that bring you to a new low in your life or tragedies that happen. This is an example. This is why I don't mind, even though it's very difficult. People need to see this, because if one parent out there is watching this one day, I don't care if it's today, tomorrow, or 2 years later, maybe they will pick up the phone and get involved in their kids' lives and prevent something on this level or even smaller. I think that it's worth it, and I think everybody needs to see this. This is an experience and a teaching tool. I really, really believe that. Some of us know, some of us are involved, but not everybody. And maybe people aren't aware of it until they see something like this.
Audrey was missing and McDougal writes he was taking her to the bus, did you ever text him or call him and say, "Where's Audrey?"
He messaged me actually, and he said, "Hey, have you seen Audrey? She didn't make it home off the bus." And I said, "Where the is my kid, Steven?" Because I knew.
He was trying to cover his tracks. I wonder if he was trying in some way to set you up. I can't figure it out. But I guarantee you this, Miss Matthews, I will figure it out. I will figure it out. And I want you to know not only are we praying and thinking about you, we're not letting go of this until this guy gets a
I don't.
Texas death penalty.
Yep.
Can I be
I
honest with you about
know
that?
you don't care if he.
Listen. Idaho failed to execute a man named Creech, last name Creech, today because they couldn't get the IV in. Texas don't have that problem. I can guarantee you we will do what we set out to do. Put this man in the chair, in the IV, whatever you want to call it. Put him on the table and strap him up. We gonna get him. Promise you. Bet. 100%. Take it to the bank.
He gets the death penalty. Other people do.
I actually don't want him to receive the death penalty only because not I am not God. It is not my place to, judge when somebody else's life ends. And that to me is an easy way out for him. I have to live with the fact for the rest of my life that I will never
Absolutely.
see my daughter again, the things that happened to my daughter. And I feel like he should get life without parole, so he has to deal with all of the repercussions every single day for the rest of his life just as well.
Do you think he cares? Do you think McDougal
No, see,
will
that's the
sit in
thing.
jail and feel
No, see,
sorry?
that's the thing.
And let me tell
That's
you
the thing,
something.
Nancy.
He can
I
get
never
right with
expect
God
him.
on his way to
No.
hell.
I never expect him at all to even have any type of remorse because you can see it in his face, the type of monster he is and the things that he did to my daughter. But the other people that he will have around him will damn sure make sure that he does not enjoy a single minute of it.
Yes. Right. Jailhouse justice, boo boo. I promise you. I know if he is where I think he is, which I'm almost positive he is in Huntsville. I'll double check on that. If he's in Huntsville, he might as well be named Stephanie. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay? Just, do you feel what I'm saying? That's what's going on. Bet. So I see what she's saying. Let him wake up every day and go through whatever hell he needs to go through. That he don't need to, he don't have to, Lenny. Don't matter. Yes, Sarah, I was talking about that. The botched death penalty, the injection. They couldn't get the IV in the dude. What are they doing? I mean, maybe his veins were blown out from doing drugs. I don't even know. But come on, Idaho, get with it. That state really pisses me off if you haven't noticed. Really pisses me off.
Miss Matthews, I want you to try. And I know these are just words that don't mean anything. You've got to stay strong because you've got to make sure there is justice for Audrii. You have got to stay strong. Don't fall into that depression and spiral down to where you can't get out. You've got to be her mom now and stay strong and be her voice because nobody else has been her voice. And now it's on you, Cassie. You got to be her voice, and you can do that.
I failed my daughter once by being bullied into submission and being made to believe that she was in a good home, but I will not fail my daughter again, Nancy. That's everybody thinks that I don't care, that I'm just shrugging it off. Oh, she's not crying, she's not this, she's not that. No, I break down in my home where I'm comfortable. My grieving is not everyone's business, but what is everyone's business is the fact that this isn't over and things need to be done concerning my daughter. So if I gotta keep a straight face and I gotta look heartless for it, well, so be it. But if I'm sitting there breaking down,
who cares what they think? Who cares what they think?
Yeah. I honestly think she's, this is just from experience. I don't know this woman, and I don't have any real right to judge or whatever this is. I think she's very codependent on what people think. And I think she's so codependent, it backfires on her to the point where here's where we're at, right? That's where that's where she's at. She lets, we call it the doormat syndrome, where you let people walk all over you. You're codependent on making everybody happy, and there's a no win. At the end of the day, your kids matter above all else. And I think that she is learning that lesson. Unfortunately, here's where we're at. So take notes, parents. You are not always going to be liked. You're not always going to be favored. You're not always going to get along. You do what you got to do for your children.
All that matters now is what God thinks and getting justice. That's all that matters right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Cassie, thank you for being with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for everything that you've done and how much effort you've put into this. It means a lot to me. I appreciate your realism, your straight to the point, the fact that you're not just trying to be somebody's best friend. You are in the interest of the child, my child. And I appreciate all of the information that I have obtained from you, whether you knew you were giving me the information or not. I just appreciate you in general.
Oh, of course.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cassie. Now joining me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But before we get going with them.
Oh, great panel.
You've got to.
So he's like, Chris McDonough follows you wherever you go, even though he doesn't even know who you are, except for the one that released his recording of Brandy Neal and Tyler Vaughn's failed polygraphs. He always creeps up, and I'm like, sir, back up. Even though it's not your fault. Back up. So I am heartbroken for her. I am also angry at the family who saw her every day, right? Who ostracized her, Audrii's mother, into submission. There's a lot of injustices here, not just because of her murder, but how it came to be. Okay. So let's listen to, I know everyone's probably already seen this, and then we're going to wrap it up. But the father's family releases a statement. So let's just listen to that again. I'm going to break it down a little bit, just a little bit.
Audrii Cunningham's grandfather releasing a new statement on behalf of the family. It is the first time Audrii's father's side of the family is saying anything publicly since the 11-year-old's murder.
Our Marcelino Benito in the newsroom tonight. Marcelino, you received an email from the family today.
Len and Mia, that's right. Audrii's grandfather, Captain Philip Munch, reached out to me today. He says the family is still deep in shock, but they now want to start to set the record straight.
I wonder, it's very early in my opinion, not really Cass, because she was ostracized. She didn't get to be involved in her daughter's life the way that she should have. But with the father and his family, it's very early to come out swinging. And maybe that's just the grieving process. Maybe that's what some people do and that's how they handle it. I just think it's early, don't you? Maybe? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little difficult.
Nearly 1 week since Audrii Cunningham's body was pulled from the Trinity River, her father's family releasing a lengthy statement, their first public comment since Audrii went missing on February 15th. Tragically, Audrii's death occurred at the hands of a monster we thought was a friend, only 10 days.
Okay, I was looking for the entire press release to read. Maybe I can just do that. I'd rather do it myself. It was Audrii's grandfather, right? Ooh, it just infuriates me. I'm getting red already. Like my cheeks are getting red. There it is. Okay. I didn't even think to Google the actual just full document. Give me just a second. Let me pull it up. Or save it. Can I not pull up the actual? Good Lord. There we go. For the love of Pete. I want to read it. Oh, I'm gonna scream. Gonna scream. We're gonna get there. One moment. Hang tight. All right, here we go. Finally, Jesus. All right, 1 week ago Thursday, Audrii Cunningham was lured under false pretenses. Where was she? What? That bothers me from the jump. What does that mean? Did she say, hey, we're going to go fishing? I mean, that would make sense because apparently that's where she liked to go. He liked to fish out there. I bet you $1 million. Which led to a senseless act. Now, how do they know that? I don't think the mom even knows that or said anything. Anyway, which led to a senseless act of violence occurring and ultimately to her death. Senseless act of violence. Did he pop off because he was on meth? Did he just lose it because she didn't do what he wanted? What made him decide that day after speaking to the mom? Was it the day before? I bet you it'll come out that it wasn't the time that they think. I don't know. Or it was very, very planned, intensely planned. Audrii was a charismatic, beautiful, talented, and kind young lady. She loved singing, dancing, reading, and painting, and she was even learning the skills of a tattoo artist. She was 11. I don't. All right. All right. No more candidness. Her father and that family and his family straight up fucking failed her. 100%. Don't care what you say. Failed her. Failed. She was 11, and you treated her like she was a grown-ass adult, putting grown-ass adults around her, and that's where she is. Sorry. I'm pissed. Didn't really sink in until I read it out loud. Most of all, caring for and playing with animals was her passion. You know what this is, y'all? A cover. A cover. This is why those things you saw, this is what we meant. This is what it really is, not what it looks like. No, it really looks like failure. Audrey's aspirations were to become a veterinarian or an animal trainer. Every day, Audrey was out caring for her pets and walking her dogs. She would even walk the dogs of neighbors in the subdivision. I bet you that is something important. Walking dogs. She would even walk the dogs of neighbors into the subdivision. She touched so many lives and filled them with joy and happiness that was infectious. She had so much energy and brought a passion to everything she did. Audrey will be missed by a great many people. Whew. Just so mad. Thank you for becoming a member, Nico. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, I want to be sick too. He tried to handle too much testosterone night before he offered a truck. Right, I remember that. For fornication with another woman due to rejection. He tried to compensate for rejection by using someone that he could overpower. I think he was meth raged out. I do. And I think he was extremely frustrated and took it out on that poor girl because he was going 90 miles an hour with that truck. Or he had already done something and tried to set them up, whoever those people were that he was trying to sell a truck to, maybe. No, I appreciate you. Thank you for welcome back. I'm absolutely furious with the father. No question. I'm sorry. The grandfather said, get off our ass basically, but nope. Sorry. Not here. Not here. We don't sympathize or empathize with people who fail. Children and put them in harm's way. Sorry. Not here. The idea that they included the tattoo artist in there was... It really, really pisses me the off. Okay. I am fuming right now. Okay, back on track. The Munch and Cunningham families are devastated and grieving for what happened to our little ray of sunshine. We are being attacked and criticized on social media platforms for showing compassion and mercy to this formerly incarcerated person. Well, it just keeps getting worse. When I say it out loud and I hear myself read it, it's worse. It really is. For showing compassion and mercy to this formerly incarcerated person. Formerly incarcerated, call him for what he is. A child predator murderer. Man, I'm pissed. But our interactions with this person were a result of our faith, which teaches us to give our fellow man a second chance. You know who wrote this? Tabitha. I know grandfather said it, but Tabitha wrote it. Tabitha, you did, didn't you? You really wrote this, didn't you? And I'm looking at her. I really am. And I'm not saying everybody go after her or be ugly. This is my personal opinion. I think Tabitha's full of shit and there's something else. And I think she knew more. And I think that she needs to probably stay out of the public view. I really do. Because it's becoming very clear. He was trying to run the show from the beginning with that 911 call. That's my opinion only. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. This is for entertainment purposes only. Excuse me. But our interactions with this person who you knew very well were a result of our faith, which teaches us to give our fellow man a second chance. Are they trying to avoid being charged with something? Maybe. The system failed us due to a loophole in the sex offender registration system. He wasn't even though he is a predator, he pled out and got child enticement charges, which didn't require him to register. He had a history of disrespect for young female children. No, he had a history of trying to SA young children and probably did. But it did not show up when we checked the registry before allowing him to stay in an old camper in our backyard while he tried to start a new life. Had we been aware of what we know now, this man would have never set foot on our property, much less a part of our little girl's life. So is that what when you have children, do you just stop at the registry? You don't look at the actual crimes like violence, domestic violence, assault and battery? You don't think that maybe theft charges or whatever the case may be that is violent in nature? You're not going to check those things? I don't think they ever did. I don't think they did. I was trying to be nice, but now reading it out loud, like I said, it's really getting to me. I'm probably going to have to wrap it up now. I done lost it. We wish to acknowledge and thank the Polk County Sheriff's Office, Texas Rangers, whoop whoop. Shout out to Texas Rangers, Texas State Troopers, Livingston Police, Texas State Guard, Trinity River Authority, the FBI, and nearby county sheriff departments, as well as thousands of volunteers for helping search and ultimately find the body of Audrii. EquiSearch, shout out. We also wish to acknowledge and thank the members of the press. The coverage was considered invaluable to help focus attention and gather valuable leads that help the search efforts. We are advised not to speak with the press during this time, as it may have impeded the search for Audrii or shifted the focus from finding her. We were advised not to speak with the press during this time, as it may have impeded the search for Audrii or shifted the focus from finding her. Was that by law enforcement or your lawyer? I just curious. Like in my mind is, who told you that? Who told you that? And why didn't they tell Cass that? I don't buy it. There's something wrong here. They're covering their ass. In my opinion only. Yes, thank you, EquiSearch. Lenny, you said it, girl. Ooh, this is rough. Audrii will be missed, but hopefully not forgotten, as we would like to ask legislators and law enforcement, both locally and in Washington, D.C., to look at the loophole that prevented us from knowing what Dawn McDougal was, a convicted SO. The SO registry is a valuable tool that parents and grandparents everywhere use to keep their children safe from these violent predators. This failing of the system is a crime that we cannot allow to go overlooked. And then it talks about the memorial, again, March 1st, Colt Road. It's on my thumbnail. And I will also put it in my community page. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments if you're watching the replay about this press release from the family. What do you think about the grandparents? What do you think about dad? What do you think about mom and her interview with Nancy Grace? What do you think about Nancy? Tell me everything. Spill the tea in my comment section. I like to read what you think. If you would like to drop off flowers, cash, or check donation in memory of Audrii Cunningham, please contact Livingston VFW Post 8568 at 936-327-9119. Please make checks payable to the VFW and put in the notes Audrii Cunningham. A Venmo fund has also been set up. You can read it here. I'll put it in the community post. If you feel so inclined, I might do something like that if I can't make it down there. Proceeds exceeding the funeral expenses, which, wait a minute now. The funeral was paid for. The funeral is already paid for, so I don't take this very lightly. Anyway, funeral expenses will be donated in Audrii Cunningham's name to Texas Equisearch up to the 2nd of March, 2024. That's not right. Later donations will be expanded to include the organizations that protect our children from SA predators and organizations that assist these children and their families who experience this kind of senseless, violent crime. Again, we would like to thank everyone who was involved in the search for Audrii, and we hope you will do the same for others going forward. God bless y'all, and God bless the children. Audrii deserved better. She will get justice one way or another. Texas does not play. We don't have problems putting IVs in for death penalty. Nope, we don't have that problem. I will let you guys know when trial is. I am really trying hard to be in the courtroom for that. And I want to be able to at least either stream it or stream after the fact. I put the paperwork in, or will put the paperwork in once I know where to send it to, because it's difficult to know when they haven't set it up yet. Okay. We don't know yet. It's a little early, so it might take a little bit, but I will let you know and keep you informed. Right. So they looked up SO and said if they'd known, but were okay with his tattoos. I mean, secrets in the sauce? I guess. Can you post a donation link to Texas Equisearch, Eve? I sure will do that. I absolutely will. They've said it's a capital case, right? I'm going to put the link in the chat for Equisearch. I'd rather it go through directly through them. They typically request that as well. So you can mail a donation, of course, to Texas Equisearch in Dickinson, Texas. You could donate with PayPal, make a donation to their website. And I think that would be the best way to go about it. So that's what I'm going to put in the chat and pin it. And also on the community tab. Here we go. All right, guys. Thank you for being here with me. You know, as I say, drink your water. Keep your blood pressure at a minimum these days. It's very difficult. Take your blood pressure medicine if you have it. Take a breath. Hug your babies, your fur babies, your grandbabies. Let's always remember to talk about these babies and the experiences to learn from and advocate for. And I will see you on my next live. Much love to you guys. Have a great night.